All right, hello everyone. Welcome to Plant-Based Homestead Prepper, where we make prepping fun. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Oh shoot! You know what? I got this new little thing. The jury's still out about this one. I'm not sure if I'm liking this one or not. Okay. I think it works well for me over here. I think we're gonna go back over here. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put it over here and we're gonna try it this way. All right, so new holder, same viewpoint, same perspective. All right, so what we're gonna talk about a particular topic. But I was just trying to get everything going so I wouldn't, YouTube, I love you, okay, first and foremost. Y'all know I'm never going to talk bad about the platform. This is so ridiculous. It's just, I don't even know who that belongs to. But I got to be honest, okay? It's definitely time to move out of your neighborhood and away from your neighborhood if every night you get a fireworks show, a free fireworks show that you don't ask for. And when the shopping carts start showing up on your street. Yeah, it's now granted, we don't live in the best of neighborhoods, and because even out in Virginia Beach I see this kind of stuff, and that's the resort city. But yeah, it's definitely time for us to make some moves around here. Good morning, Miss Grace. How are you? So we're going to talk about what's going on in the country. Mainly, we're going to talk about what's going on in Atlanta. And Karen, I hope you watch this, Karen, because I want to make some points about some of the things that we talked about the other night. And I truly hope that you didn't get upset and decide to leave us, because, like I said, we're family around here, and families don't always agree. It just is what it is. I really want to buy this house right here. It's a little duplex. I think it's going to be a good money maker. I'm good, and you? Hi, just stopping by to say hello. If getting ready to leave to go. Oh, wait a minute. Hello. Getting ready to leave and go to my appointment? Okay, cool. Hey, Asta, good morning. Hi, just stopped by. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I remember you told me you had an appointment this morning. Yep. Well, good. Glad you came by to say hello. You're going to love that training that you got. You're going to absolutely love that. And I would recommend, go through the training, listen to him make the phone calls, listen to the script and everything, because he's going to teach you how. It's crazy. He walks you from start to finish how to make a phone call. And it works. That system works. I've used it personally. You may get a little annoyed and you may need to upgrade. And if you feel like you need to upgrade, talk to me first, because I'm a discount the upgrade, okay? Because when you start using it, you're gonna want to upgrade. I already know that. And I'm a discount it. We got in that system, we got what is called a cool bribe. And since you already started the main business with me, yeah, I can throw you a discount in there, okay? Substantial. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So I want to talk about what's going on, in our nation. And mainly, I want to talk about what's going on. And I don't know. I didn't watch anything. I don't know if they're protesting. I don't know if they're burning down other stuff. I have no idea. But last night, after I got finished working, I was going in. I was going to check the YouTube channel, and this video popped up on my timeline. It was like, watch the full video body cam of the incident right there in Atlanta. And I was like, okay. And it's like 30-40 minutes. And I was already sleeping. It was already like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like, you know what? Let me watch this. So I watched it. I watched the whole entire video, and I was like, wow. I mean, and it gave me so many more wows when I watched it. Because it confirmed what I had said early on. In that instance, it was bad policing. Okay? Bad police work. And I'm gonna stand by what I said in the beginning. And I was looking for some things that was going to justify the alternative because I'm objective. I don't rush to judgment. I see it from a police perspective, because I was one. And when you get to the point where you're going to take somebody in custody, we were always trained that we told them we were going to take them in custody. And we didn't touch them at the same time we told them. I saw this officer grab this man's arm, tell him to put his hands behind his back, and start grabbing on it. And in my opinion, okay, and this is just coming from a ex-police officer, and for those that don't know, I did 3 years as a police officer. I didn't do security. I did police officing security work, okay? Police officer in the United States military, U.S. Navy. My last 3 years of my career. And for 3 years, I was a cop, I had the utility belt. I had the back pains from the utility belt, So I never detained anybody. I never cuffed anybody the way I saw them do that. And for me, it's very simple. All right, so you've had too much to drink tonight. I'm gonna take you into custody. Okay, go ahead and put your hand, lock your fingers behind your head. Spread your feet. Relax. I'm gonna put you in cuffs. No big deal. We're gonna put you in a squad car. I'm not gonna tow your vehicle. I'm gonna leave it right here. I'm gonna even talk to the workers. Make sure it's okay to leave your vehicle here. And now at that point in time, and we're always trained to keep our hands right here at our waist, at the ready, because if somebody does throw a punch, you can deflect or whatever. And then and you deflect, you get away. It was always deflect, get away, deflect, get away. And at that point in time, if he doesn't comply, I would have pulled out my chemical and I would have sprayed him until he complied. It wouldn't have taken but 5 seconds, because that would have been it. Because he'd have been, hollering at that point. Oh, my eyes. And then I would have had to put him in cuffs and then rendered first aid. Which would have been easy, because you spray him, put him in cuffs, and then you go right over the windows, be like, hey, give me some water. And then you start rendering first aid, and you call EMTs in. I just see that situation going so much different if if in that instance we had better police work going on. So that's the way I see it. Definitely in that instance, nobody should be tried by 12, and nobody should be going home, and nobody should be carried by 6. That's what we used to say as a cop. I'd rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6. Now, as a cop, that is your perspective. You much rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6, because you go home. And that is definitely a cop's motto. But in that instance, and see, we went through so much shoot, no shoot, shoot, no shoot, shoot, no shoot training. That was a no shoot instance. Somebody's running away from you. First of all, if y'all have ever shot a firearm, if you've ever shot a firearm standing still, novice, I'm talking about novice. If you ever shot a firearm and you're standing still, most people can't even hit the target. Most people. So you got somebody running, their hand is bouncing. Chances are, even with a gun, the guy was gonna miss. Good morning, Baroness. I never heard that said. You never heard that before? Yeah, that's the cop's motto. Rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6. That's the cop's motto. Okay. So when I talk to you guys about policing, I'm not just throwing stuff out there. I'm coming from a training perspective. And in in my humble and honest opinion, that was a no-shoot situation. It was so many other things that the officer that pulled that trigger could have done. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't cops shoot the wound? If you've ever shot a firearm, okay, your adrenaline is pumping, and we were trained when we bring it up on target. And that's another thing, we trained for hours, days. Front sight, slap, pause, squeeze. And I still can remember that from 22 years ago. Front sight, slap, and we would shout it to the highest of our lungs. And we dry fired. Oh my God, we would dry fire before we fired actual rounds forever. I remember one exercise. You know, this is after all the theory of shooting. We finally got a chance to shoot, and it was a pencil. We shot a gun that had a pencil in it, and it showed you if you we dry fired so much because when you first learn how to shoot, you don't want to just pick up a firearm and chamber around and bam. And y'all can tell I've been through training because I don't even speak like, oh yeah, you pick it up, you put the what they call it on the streets. I say magazine. They put clip. You put the clip in and chamber around. That's the technical term of a lot of folks say rack the slide or put one in the chamber. No, it's called chamber around. Okay. So yeah, in my opinion, and up until the point where they got ready to put the man in custody, place him under arrest. Up until that point, it was great police work. Did a field sobriety test, and the officer determined that he's like, I think you've had too much to drink tonight. And it was a pleasant conversation up until that point. And all he had to do at that point was step back a little bit and be like, sir, let's just be honest with you. You've had a little bit too much to drink tonight. We're going to take you into custody. It's no big deal. You're going to be charged with DUI or driving under the influence, which he could have beat because he was sitting still. And I fast forward through a lot of the sobriety stuff because I know how that works. I didn't see them have him blow into the little tube and get a reading, which in Georgia that might not be the law. In Virginia, we would have people blow, and if you refused to blow or you didn't blow hard enough, that was a charge. So I mean, it was just so many other things that could have and should have happened. And up until that point, I commend those officers up until the point where they got ready to take him under arrest. And you just don't grab on somebody and be like, put your hands behind your back, sir. This man has been nothing but very cordial the whole entire time. You've already searched him. You know he doesn't have any weapons. And I know it's against most policies to cuff in the front unless it's like white collar crimes or whatever. But it's also against policy to shoot people unjustified too. And I would have much rather seen that cop be charged through his department with cuffing somebody in the front than shooting somebody. And then Jennifer, before I left, she told me that they had ruled it homicide this morning, or late last night or whatever. So I mean, he's going to face charges. Now, should he be facing the same charges as Officer Chauvin in Minneapolis? In my opinion, no. Two different cases, two different ways of somebody dying. I believe that Officer Chauvin former Officer Chauvin in Minnesota, he should be facing first-degree murder. This right here, this is manslaughter. Okay. I think it was the second cop that was aggressive and looking for trouble. It could have been. It definitely could have been, and I can see that. And on scene, if you got two cops, first of all, we never. If I pull somebody over, it was our policy to to not even get out of the car. We would run plates immediately, and we would request backup on the scene. I mean, that was just standard protocol. When we approached the vehicle, we was always trained to put a thumbprint on the trunk, and that way, if the assailant or the suspect or whatever that you're pulling over, if they killed you on the scene, when they tracked the car down, they got the officer's thumbprint on the trunk so that they can identify the vehicle. Oh, did it? Okay. I fast forward a bunch through. I didn't really want to watch 30 minutes. So I saw him when he told us like, hey, yeah, you sleep, blah 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 blah, and all this good stuff. So and he allowed, and that's another thing. I was trained that if I suspected someone of being under the influence, and it didn't matter what the influence was, we wouldn't allow them to move their vehicle. This cop allowed this guy to move his vehicle because he was in one spot, and he was like, okay, yeah, I can pull over here, blah 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 blah, right? So that's also a judgment call. If he didn't think that he was drunk enough to move the vehicle at all, and he was incapacitated, he shouldn't allow him to move the car. So that's something else that the first officer on the scene did wrong. It's interesting about the thumbprint. I didn't know that. Yeah, y'all gonna learn a whole bunch from me about police work. Okay. But that's the way I was trained. I can't speak on what these guys are going through training now. Now, granted, my training was, I think I went through 12 weeks. So that's 3 months of just, and I'm talking about when you go through a military school, it's like going through, double or triple the time in my opinion, in the civilian world, because they cram so much into your head, and it's so much training to the point where y'all can see, here it is. I haven't been through that training in 22 years, and I'm still spouting off exactly the way we trained. Cuff, double lock, safety check. We yelled at for 2 days. Cuff, double lock, safety check. And that's when you cuff somebody, okay? You always bring, you got their hands behind them. You grab them by the thumb, because if you grab somebody by the thumb, they cannot move, okay? You turn that thumb, and they're like, okay, you're hurting me. Great, don't move. And you cuff coming down, boom, and then you squeeze, you cuff the other one, squeeze, and then with handcuffs, you got to take your handcuff key, turn it the opposite way, and you got to double lock, you got to lock those handcuffs in place so that if the guy or the lady or whomever starts moving around, those cuffs don't clamp down anymore and any tighter on their hands. Because you could cause permanent damage with somebody. Assault a pregnant woman. Okay, so that's a great question. Whom I can't even pronounce your George Floyd assault a pregnant woman. And I gotta answer that question with a question. Did he do it the day he died? Because that's just like saying. That's just like my current wife holding something against me that happened with my first wife. Okay? Did he do it the day he died? Because cops were called to that scene because supposedly, okay, a bad $20 bill had been oh, good morning, who's that? Jay. Good morning, Jay. I thought you was calling me a moron. I was like, wow, that's pretty strong. All right, so when a cop is called to a scene, the cop is called to the scene for that particular instance. Okay? For that particular instance. Executioner. Would y'all agree with that? In the military, after school, you still have to continue your training at your first station by completing Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah. You don't just, once I got out of 9545 training, and when I went to my first duty station, I wasn't able to just go beat the streets by myself. I had to ride with somebody for, I don't know how long it was, but it was months. It was months before I was out by myself. Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah, that just doesn't happen. And then once you, they call them, we call them calls with your qualifications. Once you get all your qualifications signed off, and you've gone through all your trainings, then you can move to the next level. So, anyway, whomever asked that question, I would love to hear your answer. Laugh out loud. Nope. Why did he deal drugs, destroying countless lives? And again, okay, if you want to talk about dealing drugs, Jay-Z, who was a billionaire now, he was a drug dealer. I'm not justifying people's illegal activities, but you have to admit and you have to agree that when police show up on scene, okay, let's do a poll question. We always got one. All right, poll question: are cops supposed to be law enforcement? I'm going through the tunnel. If I lose y'all, we'll come back in. And I'm not saying that the guy, oh shoot, I had his name. Anyway, the gentleman who lost his life in Atlanta, I'm not saying that he wasn't wrong for taking the taser from the cops. I'm not saying that he wasn't wrong for running. I never said that. But that doesn't justify a death sentence. And whomever disagrees with that, then I would love to hear your point. And bringing up somebody's past, that's like saying, okay, well, you got into a disagreement and an argument with somebody yesterday, so you're gonna die for it today. Or you made a mistake yesterday and you need to be punished for it by ending your life today. Let me see here. Oh, buffering. All right, so the poll question is, and I apologize about that. The poll question is, in this country, should law enforcement be law enforcement, or should they be, which means somebody broke a law and you come in and you're like, okay, well, you broke this law, here's an infraction, here's a citation, or we're going to take you into custody because it's a more serious infraction. Innocent until proven guilty. Okay, that's the way it's supposed to be. Okay, tried by court. Okay. The question is, in this country, are officers of the law, judge, jury, and executioner on the spot, or are they supposed to determine that particular infraction and handle that particular instance? Now, if you get on the scene and this guy or this young lady, because see, I was taught I couldn't discharge my firearm unless there was an imminent danger to myself or others, and I better make sure that if I did discharge my firearm, I better make sure that I hit the target. Because if I caused damage somewhere else, or if I caused an innocent bystander to be harmed in some kind of way, I was held liable for that. Okay? I'm sorry, there I go with the okays again. All right, so Jay says innocent until proven guilty. That's the way it's supposed to be. Absolutely not judge or jury. Okay. Of course, that's infraction only. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now, if you run this guy's information or this lady's information and they have warrants for the past, then you're authorized and justified to take them into custody. And you take the level of force. Now, see, in this particular instance, they had already made sure this guy doesn't have any weapons. And that's another thing we learned and we were taught. There's always a weapon on scene because you have all the weapons. So protect them like your life depends on it. I think it led to the death of this man. Pull the trigger, and whomever saw his partner on the ground fighting first and didn't step back and tase him or whatever. I mean, because at that point in time, that was a justifiable tasing. Somebody starts fighting you, that's justifiable tasing. If tasing doesn't work, and see, I think they go to the taser too quick for me. Because spray, chemical spray, mace, my opinion, and it's less lethal, okay, than, let me see here. Internet connection is unstable. Alright, so it looks like we might be back. Can you guys still hear me or not? I hope so. If not, then, we're going to continue. And we got a lengthy drive today. I'm headed out to Newport News. We're going to go out here and check our properties out here and everything. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of training these cops are going through, but apparently they're not learning the training because they're not thinking of the consequences before they pull the trigger, or before they put a knee in somebody's neck, or before they, I don't know. And we couldn't even, I mean, I saw a cop pass me the other day. I'm doing 60, 65 miles per hour, and this guy flies past me so fast to the point where, you know how you can be driving and your vehicle rocks? He passed me going so fast my vehicle rocked. I was like, good God. And I didn't even see him coming. He must have floored that Crown Vic. Crown Vics are fast. Okay, so buffing every so often, but you guys get the point. My cat is from Newport News. Really? Well, that's where I'm headed right now. And we got overcast day and it's raining a little bit, so I don't have my cruise set, which sucks because I always drive my cruise on, but when we have, weather, I don't drive. And that's a good tip for you guys. When you have weather, if you use your cruise control all the time. And that's another thing. We went through EVOP, which is emergency vehicle operation procedures. And I learned a lot of driving techniques in EVOP, driving good. And that's where they teach you how to drive a police car. We did things like you see in the movies. We go up to 40, 50 miles per hour, hit the brake, hit the e-brake, and do a 180 and go the other way. He is 18 from the shelter. Oh, I'm so allergic to cats. It is ridiculous. I mean, it's like crazy how allergic I am to cats. So is this, when I come in, I give you guys a perspective from a used to be military police officer. Is this helpful for you guys to understand a little bit better how and why cops should be, or police, cops should be held to a higher standard? Because the cops I'm seeing, I'm like, where did you get your training? What kind of training did you go through? And see, you got to understand also, as a police officer, you got a whole entire shift to deal with that person. You don't ever have to be in a hurry to do anything. You never have to be in a hurry. You can take your time and cross all the T's, dot all the I's, and hey, nobody's gonna be like, hey, you need to hurry up and get to your next stop, because they know that you're 10 whatever it is, and I can't remember. Now that's one thing I don't remember is all the codes. But we had a code where, it was like 10 something, 1037. I'm out of commission right now. That means I'm on a call, or I'm eating some donuts. I can't take a call. The cops need to keep their cool. They have a dangerous job. I agree. Hello, Melanie. I agree with that statement, and I also agree with they need more people training. They need a whole bunch more training than people training, but they definitely need more people skills training, because I'm not seeing it. Now, some of these guys, I got pulled over a couple years back, and the cop, he was doing his job, and he caught me with a bad inspection sticker. I had no idea. I had been driving on a bad inspection sticker for like 3-4 months, because when I got the truck, it was a brand new truck. It only had 37 miles on it, but apparently it was an older truck that had been sitting around. So I never even thought of looking at the inspection sticker. Speaking of which, I got to go get one in July, because this one is up in July. And that's the first thing I check now. on all our vehicles. I'm like, inspection, because that ticket cost me like $110. But I just paid it because I was like, first of all, I wasn't gonna go to court and prove something that I was, guilty of an infraction. I don't have that kind of time. And it wasn't a moving violation, so it didn't carry any points. I was just like, hey, the city, and unfortunately, I was in the city where I live, and I was just chalked up. I was like, well, the city just got an extra tax for me, and that's the way I looked at it. Because I feel like, inspection stickers are important because they check the safety of the vehicles. You don't want people driving, unsafe cars out on the road, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. But it's a tax. Who they are dealing with. Oh yeah, and see, we were always taught to defuse a situation. I wanted to be on your side. I wanted to be your friend. How you doing, sir? My name is, Pit Officer Chappelle. The reason I stopped you is you didn't make a complete stop at the stop sign. And most of the time, that would be it. It depends on if somebody was cordial to me. Because I got to the point, I didn't even want to run your information. Now, of course, being military is different than being civilian. I didn't have any quotas, and I don't know if they have any quotas in the civilian world or not. But I got to the point that I had started, when I first started, I pulled people over, I'd run their plate come back, I make contact, I run their license, and I'd be doggone. It was like the first 10 people I pulled over had doggone stuff on their license. I'm like, oh my God. Which created a doggone paperwork nightmare for me. I'm like, so I got to the point I was like, I just gave verbal warnings. Somebody blow through a stop sign, I pull them over. If they were nice and cordial, I'd be like, hey, look, let me check your ID. I get the driver, I get their ID. I make sure they're supposed to be on base. I'm like, look, I'm gonna let y'all with a verbal warning this evening. Please make sure you stop at all. Make a complete stop at all traffic signs, and I let their happy hips go. Because when you write a citation, anyway, it's so much that goes along with it, because it's the law. So now you have a legal document that you have to not only file, but then you got to show up to court and you got to prove your case. Because remember, they are innocent until proven guilty.